Day 1. The world had gone to hell in a matter of weeks.
A deadly virus had spread across the globe, turning people into flesh-eating monsters.
I was one of the lucky few who managed to survive the initial outbreak. I had been holed up in my apartment building for days, slowly running out of supplies and listening to the screams of the dying outside.
On day 8, I decided it was time to try and find other survivors and supplies.
I grabbed my backpack and set out into the deserted streets. It wasn't long before I stumbled upon a group of 3 people. They were holed up in my local grocery store, fortifying the windows and doors with whatever they could find.
I approached them cautiously, holding my hands up to show I meant no harm. They welcomed me in, and we spent the next few hours talking about our experiences since the outbreak.
It turned out that the survivors were Jack, a tough but loving father, and his 2 teenage children, Sarah and Max.
They had lost their wife and mother in the early days of the outbreak. Come to think of it, I have no idea if any of my family are alive. We talked about our plans for survival and what we had learned so far. I shared some of the skills I had learned from my time in the military, like how to make a fire and purify water.
Jack was impressed and grateful for the knowledge.
Day 13, after spending a few days together, we decided to stick together and try to find a safe place to stay. We spent the next few days scavenging for supplies and trying to find a vehicle. We eventually found an old RV that had been abandoned in a parking lot. It wasn't in great shape, but it was better than walking.
As we drove through the deserted streets, we came across a group of survivors who were being attacked by a large group of undead. Without hesitation, we jumped out of the RV and joined the fight.
It was a close call, but we managed to save the survivors and added them to our group. Among the new survivors was Emily, a kind and optimistic nurse who quickly became a valuable member of the group. We talked about our next move and decided to head to a nearby town called Bridgewater that Jack had heard was safe. We were cautiously optimistic as nothing was safe anymore.
Day 25. As we continued our journey, we came across the town of Bridgewater that had been fortified by a group of survivors.
They welcomed us in and offered us a place to stay.
It was the first time we had felt safe since the outbreak began. Over the next few weeks, we helped fortify the perimeter of Bridgewater and worked together to scavenge for supplies.
We even managed to set up a small garden to grow our own food. During this time, we also met a few more survivors, including Michael, a paranoid and gruff survivalist, and Maya, a shy but intelligent student. We had a lot of discussions about what it meant to be safe in this new world. Was it worth sacrificing our freedom for the security of a fortified town? We each had our own opinions, but we ultimately decided that we were better off working together and helping to keep each other alive.
After this discussion, I found Michael sharpening his knives near the edge of the camp. "Hey Michael, are you doing okay?" Michael looked up at me, his eyes hard. "Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm just making sure my weapons are in top condition."
I raised an eyebrow. "You know, sometimes I worry that you're too focused on survival."
I mean, we can't forget our humanity in all of this.
Michael scowled.
Humanity won't keep us alive.
"We have to do whatever it takes to survive. That's the only thing that matters at this point." I shook my head.
No, I disagree.
We have to hold onto our morals, no matter what.
Otherwise, what's the point of surviving?
Michael snorted. "Morals won't feed us or protect us from the undead and raiders. We have to do what we have to do."
I sighed, knowing that we would never fully see eye to eye on this issue. "Well, just promise me that you won't do anything too extreme, okay?"
"We're all in this together."
Day 50. Our sense of safety was short-lived.
A large group of undead attacked the town, breaching the walls and killing many of the survivors. We were forced to flee, leaving behind everything we had worked so hard to build.
As we made our way through the wilderness, we came across another group of survivors who had managed to fortify an old military base. They welcomed us in and offered us a place to stay. Among the new group was Alex, a reckless and impulsive soldier who had been separated from his unit. We talked about the risks and rewards of staying at the military base.
It was certainly more secure than being on the move, but it was also a target for the raiders and looters.
We ultimately decided that it was worth the risk, and we settled into our new home at the military base. I sat next to Jack, who was staring off into the distance with a haunted look in his eyes. I cleared my throat. "Hey men, are you doing okay?"
Jack turned to me and shrugged.
"I don't know. It's just hard sometimes, you know.
I miss my wife so much, and the only thing keeping me going is those kids over there." I nodded.
Yeah, I get that.
It's tough to lose someone you love. Jack looked at me, eyes filling with tears.
But what's the point of all this?
We're just surviving day to day. But for what? We're never going to be able to go back to our old lives.
I put a hand on Jack's shoulder. I know it's hard to see the point sometimes, but we have to keep going.
We have to keep fighting.
Maybe we can't go back to the way things were, but we can create a new life for ourselves. We can find purpose in this new world.
Days 60-80. Over the next few weeks, we worked to fortify the base even further.
We added more layers of fencing, set up watchtowers, and stockpiled supplies.
It was a grueling process, but we all knew that it was necessary to keep ourselves safe.
During this time, we also had many in-depth conversations about our pasts, our hopes for the future, and the difficult choices we had to make in this new world.
Sarah, Jack's daughter, opened up about how she missed her mother and how hard it was for her to keep going sometimes. Emily, the nurse, talked about how she was haunted by the patients she couldn't save during the initial outbreak. Michael, the survivalist, was particularly vocal about the challenges we faced. He argued that we needed to take drastic measures to ensure our survival, even if it meant sacrificing our morals. It was a heated debate, but in the end, we all agreed that we would not resort to such measures. Day 84. I found Emily in the medical tent, checking on a patient.
"Hey, how's it going?" I asked.
Emily sighed. "It's never easy, is it?"
"I just wish I could save everyone."
I nodded sympathetically.
"I know how you feel, but you're doing the best you can."
"You're making a difference." Emily looked up at me, her eyes shining with emotion. "But is it enough?"
"Sometimes I feel like I'm just prolonging the inevitable."
"We're all going to die eventually, right?" I shook my head. "No, that's not true. We have to keep fighting, no matter how hopeless it seems."
"We can make a difference, even if it's just for one person."
Day 85. Just as we were starting to settle into our routine at the military base, disaster struck.
A group of raiders attacked us in the middle of the night, hoping to steal our supplies and take over the base.
It was a fierce battle, but we managed to hold them off with minimal casualties. If we didn't have Alex's fresh military experience and knowledge of the base, we would have been in deep trouble. However, the attack had left us and the defenses vulnerable, and we knew that we couldn't stay at the military base any longer. We packed up our supplies and set out into the wilderness once again. Days 9-01-00. Over the next 10 days, we traveled through harsh terrain, always on the lookout for the undead or other dangers.
It was exhausting, but we never lost hope. We were a tight-knit group, and we knew that we would get through anything together. Finally, on the 100th day since the outbreak began, we stumbled upon a small community of survivors who had managed to build a sustainable life for themselves. They welcomed us in with open arms, and we knew that we had finally found a place to call home.
As we settled into our new life, we looked back on the past 100 days with a mix of sadness and pride. We had lost so much, but we had also gained a sense of community and purpose that we never could have imagined before the outbreak.
We knew that there would be more challenges to come, but we also knew that we could face anything as long as we had each other.
The end. Thanks for watching.